Wednesday night on Sideline Sports. This is Wednesday Night Pundit. Let's go. I am your host, Denzel Snipes, and welcome to another episode of the Pundit's Pundit. Of course, you can catch me on Twitter at NellyNell13 and also Jacob Christner at Jake the Pundit and Jordan Long at Sports Scoop 1. We got a loaded show for you guys. Just as a reminder, if you are watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. Don't just like this episode, but tune in to Sideline Sports because we got it all for you every day of the week, every week, 24/7, 365. Let's go. So let's go ahead and bring in the crew. I got my guys with me. He's the architect of the Pundit's Pundit and of Pundit Views. Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Most of the time we got guests on there. Other times we have an Ask Jake session. This past Monday was an Ask Jake session. It was a pro wrestling part 2 edition. So please go and check that out. But let's go ahead and bring him in here. Come on in here, Jacob Christner, who's eating a Granny Smith apple on steroids.
This would be the size of this sucker. Trust me, it's somewhat. If I would grow muscles out of this thing, I'm gonna keep buying them. But just to let you guys know everything. Also, I just told this before we got on the show tonight. We are the first show on Abigail TV. We are going to be the first. Next one will be I believe the next one's the Gauntlet. So
yes,
we are the first. So we are the inaugural show for the network. This is a proud moment. I appreciate that too.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's last week's show, by the way. Last week's show, but yes.
All right. And coming up to the plate now, he's had quite the busy, I'd say, last couple of months. You know, he's been at racing events. He's been interviewing athletes and he was responsible for bringing Mr. Torrey Harmon to the show last week. So please go and check that out. He is the king, alongside of his Queen Candy, of the South Florida Tribune Kingdom. Give it up for the Motor City Madmouth, Scott Morganroth. I got it right.
Hey, he's the king because Candy lets him.
I give you a standing ovation, but I'd have to give you a sitting ovation, but I'll do it anyway. Yeah, good stuff with Abigail. I'm glad that we had the Torrey Harmon one on, but I see a lot of big things for Pundit's Pundit, for crying out loud. It's the most versatile show on the planet. It's not like we leave any topics or stones unturned here, but no, I'm just thrilled to be a part of this week in and week out. And I got to tell you, you know what? This show has come a long way since you guys built it. All I'm looking to do is not screw it up and only add to it. That's all I'm trying.
Oh, you're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that being said, we're going to kick off the show with Prime Pundit Points. So around the horn, I'll kick it off. And speak your mind, fellas. And like I said, I'm going to start it off. So this one right here is going to be a bit disturbing, and it's going to get dark here for about a minute. So as of late, Siobhan Boone of Detroit, Michigan, was just arrested and charged with homicide for the death of her 4-year-old boy. A year ago, at her residence, her 4-year-old boy was found unresponsive. The father called 911 and tried to administer CPR. They loaded the kid into the ambulance, but unfortunately he died at the hospital. It was later determined that fentanyl was actually found in the boy's system, but for one reason or another, they decided not to pursue it further, and it became a cold case. Now, this is a prime example. And it's neither here nor there whether you believe or not. We're not on here to get religious or anything like that. But those of you who believe, you know, this may resonate with you, all right? Sometimes life has a way of humbling you, no matter what you think you may get away with. So with that being said, and you can kind of tie this together, this woman's consciousness finally got the best of her, and she turned herself into police 1 whole year later and admitted to administering the dose of fentanyl that killed her son. And there has been a rash of this going on lately for one reason or another, whether it's a bitter baby mama or some other reason. But it's like these toxic mothers are taking out their children, but they're not being held accountable the way that they should. So hopefully, Wayne County out in Detroit, Michigan, please do the right thing. Give this boy some justice. Give his father some justice, his family some justice, and put this woman under the jail where she belongs. Because what I found out about today through a clip on YouTube, shout out to Pink Book Lessons on YouTube. That's how I found out about it. But there's got to be some kind of equal playing field here, because too many times we have seen to where if a man commits a heinous crime, he gets the time he deserves. Sometimes he may even get overcharged if it's something lesser. But if a woman commits the exact same type of crime, she gets what would be considered little to nothing. She gets a plea deal. She only gets 20 years when she should have gotten 80 or whatever, But all I know is there has to be something done with the justice system. And not only that, but, something has got to be done with parents who see fit of killing their own children. It's a shame. But hopefully justice is served to this little boy. It's an absolute travesty what happened. And once again, life has an absolute way of humbling you.
All right. Well, this past weekend, I had an opportunity to go to Daytona Beach, Florida. No, not for auto racing. It was really, really quiet around there since the sports bar I went into wouldn't even run the Indy 500. But the reason why I went to Daytona Beach was I had an opportunity for a couple of nights to cover the Daytona Tortugas. As long as the Daytona Beach Tortugas, continue to bring in former Major League Baseball players as coaches, I will continue to go up there. A few years back, I did a broadcast with Tony Fossas, and then a couple of years back, I did one on Dick Schofield. Over the weekend, I had the opportunity to work with Lenny Harris and Willie Blair. And of course, Lakeland Flying Tigers manager Andrew Graham really enlightened me about not only the Tigers team as well, but what he was also talking about were some rule changes. So kudos to the Daytona Beach Tortugas, Cincinnati Reds. When you have a very experienced coaching staff, there's no reason to think that the Reds won't continue to develop fine talent, because they have a whole lot of experience out there teaching these young guys how to do things the right way. So, and I'll tell you, don't kid yourself. The great thing about going to Daytona Beach is you have Jackie Robinson Ballpark, and you'll get a history lesson over there looking at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Truly incredible. If you're a baseball fan, you need to get there.
Men, we got to talk. We seriously do. Back in my hometown, there was a court case. The husband or the ex-husband shot his ex-wife 14 times. I'm not going to bring up the name. It was on court TV. I'm not going to bring the name up. The piece of garbage doesn't deserve that. And this family doesn't deserve it anymore. Shot her 14 times, had the dad find his own daughter. And all because the guy who they found him guilty today, all because he's an impulsive wimp. He's an impulsive wimp and a child. And let me explain something here. I mean, it was anger, out of everything. I don't care if it was football and he had CTE. I don't care anything. You're an impulsive wimp when you don't put your kids ahead of anything. When you don't do that. When you you're going to go to prison for life and their mom is dead and you're forcing it on the grandparents and they're going to have therapy the rest of their lives. You did that because you're an impulsive wimp and an immature one at that. And now I'm going to have to talk with men because this happens a lot. You're all worried because women are taking over a lot of leadership roles. Guess what? They're kicking butt to do so. They've earned it. They're going to school. They are getting degrees. They're getting more degrees. They're getting more raises. They're doing everything. They're getting out of the house quicker. Average age of a man getting out of the house like 26 or 7. The woman's like about 22 or 3. They're getting out of the house quicker. They're working hard. A lot of single moms, and they're still getting their degrees. They're still getting their raises. They're still getting leadership roles. Every bit of it. But you want to know what's going on in the middle of all of that? you are still on video punching televisions because your team lost. You're still wearing jerseys everywhere, all over the place. And see, that's not every man. There's good men out there that do that because that's what they want to wear. And we know a couple, and I'm just going to say it this, but there's ones that just won't grow up. And having that kind of anger means you haven't grown up. Guess what? I saw to that creature, I saw your job. You know what her job was? Registered nurse. She was kicking butt in life. Wonderful kids, and you took it away because you're an impulsive little jerk, an impulsive creature that that lived off of anger. And that's a lot of men. And you're all mad because the women are getting by. How about get better? Here's the thing, man. Get better. Get better in life. Dress better. Work out more. Get out of the house. Go make some money. Grow up.
Absolutely. And, those are our prime pundit points. I know two of them were a little, too realistic. But, as Jacob, always alludes to, it's the type of conversations that you do need to have. Either sports or non-sports related. But it has to get out there. The message has to get out there because, like Jake said, and I'm sure Scott would agree, it's the only way change is going to happen. The conversation has to happen first, and right. Hey, what better place than right here on Sideline Sports? Let's go ahead and kick off with our topics here. And the first one is, oh, Jesus, the Glenn Kuiper saga. So to those of y'all who don't know who this guy is or what happened, he actually was the longtime announcer for Oakland, soon to be Las Vegas A's baseball for almost 20 years. He was there for about 17, 18 years. And on a telecast, let me look up the date here. On a telecast on May the 5th, so just earlier this month, he was on there, and on Pundit's Pundit, we actually did cover the opening of the Negro League Museum. And so he said, so that's not what he said on the air, ladies and gentlemen. He said N-word with the hard ER at the end. It's anybody's guess whether he meant it or not. Welcome to share your thoughts, but needless to say, he was suspended and then terminated. And the crazy part is as soon, just like with anything else, right? As soon as you saw that he was terminated, like you knew he was already out the door. He knew he was already out the door. If they didn't, I don't know why they didn't just outright, I'm sure they had to take a look into it and whatnot and kind of give it that courtesy, but the writing was on the wall. He was on his way out the door. No matter whether he's there for 17 years or 37 years, it's something that will not be tolerated. And we've seen things like this throughout time, live on the air. And I want to start off with Jake on this one. And that is, do you think that it was a genuine mistake, or did he say what he was thinking but didn't mean to say?
I think it was a genuine mistake, but let me say this, okay? Negro League, Negro League, Negro League, Negro League, Negro League, Negro League, Negro League. Did I come close to saying that N-word?
I can hear you just fine.
So yeah, but did I come close to that terrible word?
Kind of close? Yeah, it was kind of. I mean, I know, but see, I don't know. I guess it's
but see, I would never say that word. Is my point?
Yeah, you would never. Yeah,
I wouldn't say that word. But this is the point I'm making. Mm-hmm. I was making with that, and I was just saying this with Scott. Also, I wouldn't come close to ever saying that word. That's not me at all. Right. This is the thing I was saying with it. If you are saying that word, it means you say it outside of the cameras.
Yes.
You say it. Do I think it was a genuine mistake? Yes, but he says that word outside of the cameras.
He said what he was thinking.
It's in your head. It means that you've had it before. It's been on your tongue before. So you make the mistake is made because you've had the tongue before. It was like, oh my God, everything like that. Oh my God, I said I said on the air what I would say outside of it because it's on the tongue. When it's not on your tongue, ever, you don't make that mistake. I said Negro League. because I've watched the Ken Burns Negro League stuff. I've had nothing but respect for it. Buck O'Neill, Josh, what was his name? Josh. Scott.
Doesn't ring a bell.
But I forget his name anyway. Satchel Paige. But those names, all of that, the wonderful stories and everything. I've watched all those. I would never come close to saying that word because I despise the word. I despise it with every bit of my being. I had a kind of a friend that was just trying to have me on recording just to have fun with it, and I don't think he was meaning to be harmful to me ever. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was, but I wouldn't say it because I despise it. I despise the word, and it's like it's not on my tongue. But everything I was bringing up to this, and this is to Glenn Kuiper. If you did make a mistake, I do believe that, but it's been on your tongue outside of the camera. Mm-hmm. Means you could set yourself up to make the mistake. You didn't need to say that kind of thing. You don't need to say it outside of the camera, and you're doing that. This is what happens when you didn't catch yourself on camera, because you were probably thinking, "Oh, I would never say that in front." No, if it's on your tongue, the word's that close. The word's that close to where if you say it, you will catch it will get you, and it bit him, and he's gone. And it's like, as far as being gone, as far as the job. That is the A's decision, especially in a I'm trying to think, like a progressive area like California. Hey, football talk. It's like in a progressive area like that, you could see that coming. But the snake bit him because this is obvious that he has said it outside of the camera.
Right. Absolutely. So in this case, and with you running through, like you saying it right now. And the thing about it is I can't imagine you saying it. So when you said it just now, I was like, no, it didn't sound like that. Now I'm trying to decipher it. And I'm like, no, I don't see Jacob. And I guess that's the thing, because I don't see Scott saying that. I don't see you saying that. You know what I mean? So you were saying it and you were sounding it out like fast, and it's like, okay, no, it didn't sound like that, because the way he said it, you heard the R. I'm not hearing things. And I ran through that clip about 10 times. I heard the R. I heard the hard ER. You know what I mean? So in this case, and this is just my opinion, I think two things can be true. I think, no, he didn't mean to say it, but he did say what he was thinking, or like you said, what he was practicing off camera. And it's really crazy because, man, my mother, a retired school teacher, she always said, be careful of what you say outside of a professional setting, because it may slip up when you're in a professional setting. And like you said, it bit him. But I'm going to swing it down here to Scott. And I know, you've had tons of experience in sports journalism and even broadcasting. Right. And I know this had been disturbing to you. So please give us your thoughts about this. Well,
here's the thing. Okay. What we have to understand is, let's take a little history lesson. Al Campanis, formerly of the Dodgers, got fired because of an interview on ABC News Nightline with Ted Koppel, talking about the fact that blacks didn't have the makeup to be managers or things along those lines. Ted Koppel gave this guy every opportunity to rectify that situation. The longer Al kept talking, the deeper he got. Wow. Here's the thing. Okay. Oh, did he ever? Now, let me tell you, back in 1981, I met Al Campanis over at the baseball winter meetings in Hollywood, Florida. I was invited actually to sit with Steve Brenner of the Dodgers PR. Tommy Lasorda invited me there, and Al Campanis and a few other people. And we were talking baseball. Al, to me, unfortunately made a big mistake, and he couldn't get out of it. And Ted Koppel's a professional. And I swear, I've never seen an individual have more opportunities to get out of it. And the more he said, the worse it got. Subsequently was fired after 41 years with the Dodgers. You do anything racist, inadvertent or not, or deliberate, you will be gone, period. Think about Tom Brenneman made a reference that wasn't this related, but towards, the LGBT, whatever it is, I think it is.
QWERTY keyboard.
What's that?
I call it the QWERTY keyboard mob.
Well, say what you want. He was gone. Mm-hmm. So if anybody goes out of bounds, by doing stuff along those lines, they're going to be meat. Don't care. And mind you guys, okay, Al Campanis didn't have social media. Can you imagine how bad that would have been?
Yeah.
Been TMZ right now.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Right.
and I just like to point out that the reason why Al said that, and notice that you said Ted Koppel gave him every opportunity to backtrack out of it or whatever, take it back. And he just kept doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. The reason why people like that do that is because for so long they've never been held accountable. Remember, at one point in time in American history, it was deemed that blacks couldn't serve in combat because our eyesight was bad. This is right around World War II. You know what I mean? See, whenever people say things like that, they've gotten by with it for so long, nobody held them accountable. Al probably was shocked that they even fired him.
You want to before you say
I'm sorry, Jacob. Here's the whole thing. We can justify this any way we want to, but there's certain things you just don't say.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't care how we slice it. You can slice a pie 8 different ways. One's a shorter piece, another one's a bigger one, and all that. It's still the same message. It's still the same pie. Period.
Absolutely, the football. You're right. And let me say this part. Right now, one of my projects I'm doing that's at nighttime before I go to sleep. It's on Twitter. I do it. It's called tweet presidential legislation. I'm starting from George Washington. You talked about black people I'm not being able to. Right now, I'm in the 1795 and going up and stuff like that. Sometime down the line, it's going to be 1870. That is the final time of slavery being legal. 1870. I'm going to get there. You know how many presidents that is? That's 15 other presidents before. That's 15 other presidents before the Lincoln. And then 16 because Lincoln was gone, and then it started after Lincoln was assassinated. So you see what I'm talking about. I'm going to be tweeting every word of every piece of legislation. You're going to see things. I mean, I say it's hashtag tweet presidential legislation. I do it at night before I go to sleep and everything like that. Guess what it does? It tells you things about the blacks being 3/5 away, 3/5 of votes.
3/5 of a roll, yep.
They say the word man, and it's like they say women where it's necessary, but men were running things at the time.
Yeah.
So you're going to find things out, but guess what? There are people this is from 1790s, but guess what? We're in 2023, and there's still people that look at melanin on skin and think it matters.
Yeah. Shoot. I mean, I've had friends where they will have a biracial child and they'll pass up, an elderly in the store, and they literally will be like, "Are you sure that's your child?" Because they can't fathom a biracial child. Like in 2023, like that still exists,
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to move on to the next topic here. A little bit more of a happier topic, I guess. But so Hulk Hogan, first of all, I just want everybody to know something here. And these two gentlemen will tell you, you're always going to be a fan of the decade that you were born in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an 80s kid at heart. I was born in 82, So these three men right here, I mean, if you had to have like a top 5, you could add Prince and Michael Jackson. But these three right here on the bottom of the screen, Hulk Hogan, Mike Tyson, Ric Flair. Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan, the 1980s professional wrestling boom. Mike Tyson, got his career started, become the youngest heavyweight champion, youngest undisputed champion. I mean, these three men embodied the 80s and still went on to be great in other eras. This 80s trio has managed to team up to form a CBD company. Now, and Jake, I'm pretty sure you already know that Tyson had already been dabbing into edibles, So it was only
Ric Flair drip. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it was only a matter of time before these three came together. But I love it though. I do. And we talked just on Monday about Hulk Hogan's ailments. Just think how the CBD would help him, and just think of how he can push that out to, hey, with the CBD, we can. And we've talked about the leagues, NBA, NFL, well, the NBA eased up on it, NFL, NHL, anybody else, allowing players to smoke weed to cope with pain, besides getting on these pain pills whenever they can't get surgery or whatever, can't get treatment, and forming an addiction. I think this is a great thing, and hopefully they can push this out. Well, not only just for recreational, but in case somebody's going through it. People on depression, they tend to use CBD. People going through pain issues, it's really, really great deal. And want to swing it over to, let's start off with Scott first. Scott, what do you think about this whole thing?
Well, the bottom line is, okay, it's a shrewd business decision with three guys that obviously know how to make money, right? I mean, think about it. Mike Tyson was making money on pay-per-view fights later on in the game, even when he was out of it. Hulk Hogan, to me, is the biggest steroid user I've ever seen, okay? He is. I mean, I hate to say this, but Tony Mandarich would have been a good wrestler with all the juice instead of the Green Bay Packers had to deal with the casual mistake that landed the Lions to go out there and get Barry Sanders. Sorry for our Wisconsin audience, but it is what it is.
Mr. 4,000 calories a day. His diet. I'm sorry for you to tell you. If you ever look up, I forgot. I think it was 30 for 30. It was 30 for 30. Look up his daily diet. It was awesome. I was like, wow, this dude is eating and consuming calories every minute. But go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, the bottom line is we know Ric Flair. I mean, I had a chance to see his daughter. I didn't even talk to her over at Daytona, and she following her dad's footsteps. I can only imagine many years ago what Dick the Bruiser in Detroit would have been like if he was in this era. And another one would be Andre the Giant, and the rest goes on and on. But you're talking about three fellas here, okay, that are shrewd business people that are worth a lot of money in this day and age. Yeah, I think you have a pretty good trifecta there with these guys doing it. I wish them well. I mean, let's face the reality, okay, wrestling's a painful sport. It really is. So you need a little bit of a feel-good kind of thing. Well, I'm not saying I'm on it. I'm just saying, it hurts. Draw your own conclusion if you want to. I don't care. But, they're all good, shrewd business people. What else can I say about it?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they kind of formed Voltron on this one, but I want to swing it over to Jake on this one because I know you got a lot to say on this one.
I've watched Voltron for many years. We all know this, but let me say this: listen, no, it's kidding. No. The biggest thing about Hulk Hogan is, and I can say this right here. He had so much pain for so long, 10 back surgeries. 10 back surgeries, almost 6 back surgery almost put him in a wheelchair. They cut off a lot of bone. He had that battery packs in the back. He wrestled that final match against Sting in TNA. Wrestled that final match in Sting in TNA with that battery pack in his back. And all that kind of stuff. Just this kind of stuff that and it was still not a bad match, and it was still that great ending. You know what I mean? The goodbye ending, the tearing off the shirt to turn good, and it was those things. But the biggest thing about this is the fact that I just found out. I was watching his interview the other day. He's dropped about 265 pounds, which he needs to get about 250. And his thing, he's dropped that 300-pound mark, and he's doing it because of his back. And now he's taking that stuff instead of pain medicine. And it's all that stuff. And Ric Flair's got Ric Flair drip. And, I mean, each and every one of these guys, you look at Hulk. Hulk's working. I mean, Hulk is already a freak anyway. Let's just be very truth. If you can still keep that body at near 70, it means you still have the testosterone to be able to getting women.
Yeah.
If you keep that thing, there's already there. So he's going to be shredded looking by the time he gets 250.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that kind of thing. But get this. The biggest thing that we can say this is Mike Tyson was the same boat. They're all getting this. The biggest thing that we can say is the fact that anybody that's ever going to a doctor regularly, this can stop.
Yes.
This can stop. This can be, if they legalize this for good, all 50 states, this can stop. Without question. It's like it can help with depression. It can help with chronic pains. Yeah. And what were you going to say, Scott?
Well, if it gets legalized in all 50 states and I have access to it with all the multiple of injuries I have, I'm for it, believe it or not.
Hey, there we go.
I mean, listen, I'm dealing with a broken tailbone that I injured on my 60th birthday go-karting along, as well as the other ailments I have. And there's nothing like a little bit of relief here and there. I'm not going to sit here and say because I'm a commentator, I don't have a adventurous side to me. I mean, as my days
Yeah.
get shorter, the adventurous sides tend to get a little bit bigger. No, I'm not trying to with the door. If it's legal, as medical marijuana can help you, you do it. I mean, if you're doing anything under the table, that's when you get busted and you get to eat bread and water over in the jail. But nobody's eating no bread and butter, bread and water over at the jail. But it's again, really what it comes down to is you have three individuals that see an opportunity to invest into something. And we often talk about athletes a lot of times. What do they do with their money when they go broke, when it's all said and done? These three individuals here are trying to utilize their public image, and business acumen to try to make a wise business decision. That's what they're trying to do.
And thinking of this for a second, imagine cancer, what it can do for people that have the terminal cancer and they keep them around longer because you're not just handing them pain pills.
No.
You're handing them a relief and they can live longer. Of course, there's going to be a lot of special interests that are going to try to stop this. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to stop because they're going to want the pain medicines. And look how much fentanyl we're seeing right now. Like you brought up fentanyl in your Prime Pundit point. Look how much fentanyl we had. Look how all this of how much it's killing. What if we could get this at 50 states and work with this? What if we got a CBD to promote here or to get as our, as a sponsor? Absolutely. What if we could get a CBD deal to do that? It's like, personally to me, and I don't have chronic pains or anything like that, but I'm going to be 45 in August. Who knows when that can kind of come, and you want to be able to ward that off.
Yeah. And I mean, even outside of just growing old, man, you never know what can happen to you, man. Like, I mean, knock on wood, God forbid, but any one of us could be in a really bad car wreck tomorrow.
Yeah.
To where we actually, may need something. You know what I mean? We may have the back surgery. All the injuries, the tailbone, all the injuries that everyone just named, like that could be us. You know what I mean? And something like this would really, help out. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Well, let me tell you, I never thought I'd be talking about drugs on this show, but if you're really, I had back surgery, and when I've been in the hospital, there is nothing better than morphine, man. If you think my one-liners are crazy now, and we all talk about the Mountain Dew, you give me a little bit of morphine, and I'm going to tell you, my sense of humor makes what I had with the Diet Mountain Dew look like nothing. I once told my aunt one time, my late aunt one time, that, when I was on morphine, how you feeling? Well, we were talking about my mother, said, Aunt Judy, my mother is like auto racing. She says, what do you mean by that? You never know when the big one is going to hit, when she's going to start trouble.
Yeah.
And so my Aunt Judy says, Scott, are you feeling okay? Oh, Aunt Judy, I've never been better. I've had back surgery. I feel like, what? But that morphine's making life a whole lot easier. And for anybody that wants to know what happened what I do remember about my back surgery is that Michael Jackson and Farrah Fawcett died. So every time I need to Google up when I had the surgery, all I need to do is Google up Michael Jackson and Farrah Fawcett. So, CBD, if it don't work out, let's see if Hulk Hogan, Mike Tyson, and Ric Flair can go out there and do something with morphine. It works awfully good. Take it from somebody that knows.
Well, and the biggest thing is I've never had a thing of drugs in my whole life. Never touched one. Not a cigarette. I barely drink alcohol. I've never had any of that kind of stuff in my life. But if I would get something terminal in the next couple of years or whatever, if something terminal comes to me and we can never tell, if it would come, guess what? It's like whatever they were going to say. I'm going to go for the relief factor. If they go, not the company, but I'm going for the relief thing. I'm going to go for the CBD. I'm going to try it because I don't know how long it gives me, but I'm going to give myself a relief more than I'm going to give myself radiation.
Well, you owe it to yourself to go out with dignity if that's what you have to do, for crying out loud. There's nothing wrong with CBD.
Yeah, no. I mean, you'd rather go the organic route because I want
to go the painless way. I don't want to be thrown up on the thing. I'm going to go a painless way. I want to live my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong. Like, chemo, it's part of what kills cancer. But let's face it, at the end of the day, it is literally putting poison in your body to do it. So, I mean, like you guys said, anything for relief, and hopefully it does get legalized in all 50 states and whatnot.
Dan,
I mean, now I have my thoughts about this, and people would call me a conspiracy theorist. That's for another show. So I'll just leave it as I hope that it gets legalized in all 50 states. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so Dan, let me ask you a question. Don't you think we're putting poison in our body, everything we eat anyways? Do we really know what the heck's, and do we know of
Look
half
at
of
the
what's...
size of this apple. You know there's poison in here. Look at the size of this
All
thing.
right, but that ain't stopping you from doing your thing, brother. I'm telling you. I mean, we're all putting poison in, so what's a couple of this and that? I mean, whatever. I mean, unless you're George Burns, okay, and you can live 100 years old, or my Aunt Mary, who lived 103 or 4, it don't make a lick of difference. Every time you go on social media, somebody, celebrity or no celebrity, okay, to me, is going to be gone. At least the one thing we got in this particular platform here, okay, is no matter what happens, Denzel and Jacob, they'll all know what we look like. We'll all know what we sound like. I told my wife, Candy, you know what? When I drop dead, okay, one of these days, whenever it may happen, you'll never know what I don't look like, and you'll never know what I sound like. And that certainly is a little different from a tape recording that you had on a answering machine where our legacies live on. So who cares what you're putting in your body? Anybody have an exact science? Why don't you guys invite a dietitian on here and ask her when you bring her on here, okay, one day, that do you know what you're putting in your body? Refer to this broadcast. Probably tell you no. But I'll tell you one thing, my services are needed. I'm just trying to give you an idea here in front of a national audience, okay? And I'll tell you what, you go back to this episode, you bring a dietitian on it? No, I don't think. There you go. Mission, that's my point. Yeah. So we don't know what's going in there.
That's true. No, very, very solid point. We do have to get on to our next topic.
By the way, do the Minnesota one right now, because who knows if we missed the thing. Do that Minnesota one. You wanted to talk about it.
Okay. Oh, the Brewers one? Yeah, we're about to
do it.
About to get to it right now. All right, so our next topic, and Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred is forcing the Brewers to make $400 million stadium improvements or risk losing the team. Now, Scott, I know this doesn't sit well with Candy. I don't even know if you guys will probably cover it on Sports Exchange, but
I think we actually did a week ago.
Oh yeah, that's right, sure did. And so I actually must have missed that segment, but I'll say this, and this is just my perception, because you have a storied franchise in the Milwaukee Brewers, just like the A's, and watch where I'm going with this. Just like the A's is a storied franchise out there in Oakland, but they want so bad to put a team in Las Vegas. Guess who's the sacrificial lamb? I think this right here, and this is just me, I think it is a ploy to move the team. It has to be. The question is, to what city? So I do want to start off with Jacob here. I don't know. Do you share my same sentiments? Are you? Do you have your own thought about it, or what's going on?
I'm going to agree with it, because I'm going to say this. We brought up a couple of weeks ago, Scott. We were all talking about this. Right. Miami has terrible, zero real estate around that stadium. Right. Remember, in that area, we talked about this.
Yeah, and it's in a literal neighborhood, just in Little Havana.
Yeah, in Little Havana. What do you expect? There isn't much around there.
Oh, yeah, there's not much around there. But look at it this way. The Cubs have Wrigleyville, all that, and they've had that for years anyway. The Cardinals have their end. Cardinals have had it with that new stadium. They've had it on theirs. The Atlanta Braves, oh, my God, the Battery. Oh, my God. You talk about billions in real estate there. They're already talking about the Chicago Bears building a big real estate deal, with the NFL, in the Arlington Park. They're already talking about that. The biggest deal that we can say this is every commissioner and every owner and everything wants nothing but real estate for the competitiveness. And Milwaukee, I've driven by Milwaukee before. I've been driven by that stadium. They don't have any real estate around that at all. None. And they're looking at this. This is a blackmail. This is a blackmail, and this is a ploy to lose that team, no question. Because in the end, Oakland has lost all their teams in 10 years. So they don't want to see Oakland anymore. It's not the thing.
Not like the last 5. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, they've lost these. And now they don't want anything to do with this. These sports don't want anything to do with this. They don't want them there anymore. They don't want them to Oakland anymore. Look at all this. Now they want them to go to Las Vegas. Now they want to go to everything flashy. It's the same, and I'm going to put this as a political statement. There's a specific amount of people that don't want the electoral college. And I'm just saying, who cares what party you're in, okay? They don't want the electoral college because it would force, no matter if it would be Biden or Kamala Harris or Trump or DeSantis or anything, it would force them to go to nothing but the big cities to get all those votes. You don't have to go to an itty-bitty town anymore. You'd have to go to the top maybe 8 to 10 big cities to go get all of those votes because that's what all that would matter now. And I'm like, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter who you would think of. What you got to do means you have to change it means you have to change all of your platforms completely, both sides. Have to change the platforms. And it's the same with the Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA. You have to change everything up now. It's not just about winning. It's not just about winning. It's about real estate, competitiveness to make money. I've talked about this with my Bears. I'm mad at the fans. I am because they don't want to win. They want flashy Justin Fields. And I think Fields has one shot to get this left. But make no mistake. He's flashy and he's on TikTok. And he's on TikTok and he's got a personality. And even if he doesn't
rush 4,000 yards.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's like, and guess what? If he wouldn't make a career, I think he's an actor. He's got an image. He's got a look. He's got everything. He's not boring. So you can see why, no matter if I get mad at the thing, that's just a fan in me. But no matter what, Justin Fields is money. So is Pat McAfee. Money. Everything that has to be involved has to be money.
That being said,
what?
Guess what else is money? Las Vegas. They just got 2 teams. They're about to get a third.
Yep. And and that's the thing. Everything has to have money and competitiveness. This is the most competitive area, world that we have ever been in our life. I mean, there's one guy I met today, Pakistani. He was a Pakistani neurosurgeon. Pakistani neurosurgeon speaks 3 languages, going on for a 4th. He could read the 4th. Yeah. And everything like that. And he's probably about 42 years old, 2 little kids, awesome guy. I mean, and he's athletic and it's all that. And it's like Americans getting their butt kicked because they just work. They're like the thing with the women that I brought up. They work hard. Everybody understands the competitive nature of life except a specific amount of people and the loud ones.
Yeah. And you know what? And it's crazy because anyone who doesn't think that this is all some sort of point, again, look at Las Vegas. Look at the squads they have right now outside of the Knights who just made the Stanley Cup. But outside of the Knights, right? Okay. We talked about the A's, right? They're just about on their way there. All they got to do is pass a vote in June. Relocated team. The Las Vegas Raiders, relocated team. The Las Vegas Aces, relocated team.
Yep.
So, but before I go to Scott, I do want to ask you this. Should they relocate the Brewers, where do they go? Because the closest city, off the top of my head, just viewing the North American map, would be Montreal. Wait, would it be Montreal? No. It wouldn't be Montreal. It would actually be.
But
but I could see them going back to Montreal.
I can see Nashville. Because Nashville's full of real estate to be around, full of it.
Yeah, they could. They very well could. Or, and Scott, your boy Betts would like this one, North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead.
You are. Number 1, Nashville would be the logical choice because their AAA team is there anyway. So you go from AAA and they're ready to build a stadium right on the riverfront. So currently the Brewers have a working relationship with the Nashville area because the Nashville Sounds are the AAA affiliate there. Okay, Jacob, every now and then we're going to disagree, but this time we're majorly disagreeing on this one. Item number 1, okay, the Brewers aren't going anywhere, period. I don't care what either of you guys say. No way.
Hey, he's saying nope. His T-shirt says nope.
Nope. All right,
well, no, go ahead. Well, for the record, I didn't say that they were. I said that the topic was a ploy to get them to move.
No, I disagree with that, too. I totally disagree. Number 1, Miller Park got off to a tough start. Unfortunately, an individual lost their life before, and it delayed the opening by a year, is what happened. Okay. And then you open up a year later. Number two, the difference between the Oakland situation and Milwaukee is when Milwaukee had to do something with County Stadium, they built a stadium, is what they did. And rather than lose a team, if you're going to lose a team, you would have lost it then. You wouldn't have lost it now.
True.
Now they do have to make upgrades. And let's face the reality, they got it right. I mean, they have a retractable roof. I'll bet at least half that money toward the stadium repairs are going to that retractable roof, and that's going to eat up a big chunk of it there. So item number one, they're not going anywhere. Number two, Wisconsin lawmakers tend to take a little extra time on this stuff, but in the end, I think it does get done. However, they're going to get to that particular point. So no, they're not going to lose their team. I just don't believe it. Man, I hope they don't. I got married in that stadium with my wife over at a restaurant on January 1st, 2017. So I have some great memories there, and I've covered a lot of games in that ballpark. So I feel a sentimental value to it as well. So,
renew your vows while it's getting torn down around you.
No, I can't do that because the restaurant that was in there, TGIF Fridays, is gone. So I don't know what the restaurant is, and I don't care. If I renew my vows, it's in a place in the Caribbean because there ain't going to be nobody around anyways. Probably died.
I'll go.
That was at my wedding. Yeah, that's okay. No, I think it's a great topic. For what Rob Manfred's trying to tell them is, I don't want another Oakland A's situation. I don't want this thing falling apart inside of 23 years. Nobody wants to think that they went to the dollar store to go ahead and build this stadium because it seems like a lot of them, what the cost was to build it then. Did they take any shortcuts or any of that type of stuff to get there? It doesn't matter what they've done, where they have. I mean, the A's had a situation for 20 years until it finally fell apart. At some point or another, that was 20 years in coming. The Brewers are never to that point. When they had to build, they did build. Now the question is, you need to fix it up. I hear there's even stories out of Minnesota that the Vikings stadium needs a great deal of work as well, and that's only just a few years old.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So we're going to pick on Milwaukee. We can pick on our folks in the Twin Cities as well.
That's what I was going to ask also. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jacob.
Say this about Minnesota. They paid off all their debt 23 years early. All of it. Okay. So they literally own their own stadium there. They're one of the rare ones. There's no debt on it.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know what? They need to fix it before it. I actually been to some games over at the old Metrodome. I can tell you a really crazy story here. As I'm wearing a pair of hiking boots, and my hiking boot got caught into the artificial surface, and I felt some soreness in my knee. I had my knees drained after that place. That was unbelievable. Oh. So it seems like everywhere I go, there's a problem. But I didn't have the CBD to get me out of trouble there, although I'd have taken it in a heartbeat. But no, but really, the reality is, all kidding aside here, okay, Milwaukee will get it done. And of course, now that Rob Manfred is involved, it's going to let the lawmakers know he's just simply going to go out there and, force their hand. And I think you might want to put Candy Ebling's headline in there. There you go. And you know what? She didn't use a sentence ending it with a period or a question mark. She emphatically put the exclamation
point. Yep.
She's going to chain herself to the place. She's going to chain herself to the place. I dare you. Don't you dare.
Yeah. So everybody, first of all, when the commissioner gets involved, you got to remember, not to say poor Rob Manfred, but he's had to deal with the Tampa situation forever. Okay. Yeah. And then he's got Oakland. And I know they want to get two more teams via expansion. They're going to get two no matter what. The two that I think would be most likely, honestly, I think would be Nashville and Charlotte. I do. And the only other one that I could potentially see might be Montreal, but they don't have any stadium in sight. And I think Montreal would be the third, but I go Nashville and Charlotte, not 1 and 2.
Yeah, and also with the Raiders situation, didn't part of the reason why the Raiders left was because they couldn't get a new stadium. That stadium's old, And the A's and the Raiders, they played in the same stadium. They play at Alameda Coliseum.
Yeah, but part of that's the Raiders' fault too. It really, really is, because number one, they go to LA, they reconstruct and do that stadium where the Raiders can move in, and now what are you left with? They leave town, and now the Oakland A's are stuck with a bag of renovations they didn't want in the first place, and they couldn't have fixed it up. So a lot of money was invested into that stadium, and I've been in that stadium before when I saw the Lions and the Raiders many years ago. And as a result, there was no money left in Oakland to go out there and try to fix it up. And again, it was getting older. The pipes are bad. There's animals in the wall. So, and the beat goes on and on. I don't want to get too descriptive here.
The pipes go bad. There's animals in the walls.
Well, let me tell you, you think this is funny, okay? But let me tell you, when the announcers from a visiting team are forced to go to a different place because they don't want, they don't mind having a 2-man booth, but they don't need a 2.5 or 3.5 person booth when you consider these little things called animals getting in the way.
I know.
Okay. I can only imagine if these guys have a pop there and these animals, oh, never mind, want to drink out of it. Give me a break. I don't want to go too that far. But let's, I mean, the Oakland A's have had plenty of time to get it right with Oakland, and they didn't. Milwaukee's not that kind of a town. They're really not. They'll get it straight, man. But Rob Manfred involved, to me, will only be there to let them know that there is a sense of urgency, but this is not a ploy.
Right. Okay.
And let's do the final real quick. Let's do the final one real quick.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the final real fast. We got about 5 minutes. We got to get Scott over to the Sports Exchange. So the NFL suspending players for gambling while making money with gambling. So Calvin Ridley's back. He's with the Jaguars, so he's right there in the state of Florida. But he's back from his year-long suspension from gambling. But as soon as it happened, the biggest debate happened. And one side talking about how unfair it was, and the other side saying, yeah, it is what it is, but, rules are rules. Well, the thing about it is this, and this is just my opinion. I get it, rules are rules, but some rules are just flat out BS, okay? You can't, you can go by like the law that will make it right. You know what I mean? It doesn't equate to a morality. How are you going to sit there and tell players you can't gamble when you make money off gambling? You know what I mean? Like, it literally doesn't get more complicated than that. Like, it's hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying? It's do as I say, not as I do type of mentality. It's cowardice, So, but I want to swing it over to Jacob. Your thoughts on this whole ordeal?
Only thing that I could ever say, and this is the whole point of what they did with Pete Rose, even though they let him for life, Hey, sold tickets to the animals. You're right, because they need to fill the stadium. But but the biggest thing I can say about this is here's what I would do if I was commissioners of any of these leagues, any of them. I would just say, you're going to gamble, you go do right there, but if you go against your own team, you are gone. Yeah. Against your own team, because it means that you're trying to that any of the time whatsoever you're doing something to lose so you can win. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one thing, but see, they're banning them from doing simple betting, which is a wrong when you're making money off that. Now, here's the thing. Prove that they're voting against their own team. I don't blame them. I don't blame anybody for banning it. You don't want to have that kind of competitiveness, lack of competitiveness, just because you bet against the team. But I think that's what they might be afraid of, and they're just doing it all the way, is someone might vote against. I mean, it might go against their own team and might do this over and over, especially if they're Art Schleister and they have a gambling addiction. They might do it, so they're probably just trying to nip it in the bud. But the issue is, you can't be doing that and making your money.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Real quick, Scott, your thoughts on this?
Well, the bottom line is gambling's been going on in the NFL for a long time. Paul Hornung and Alex Karras got nailed. They lost a year. So, and of course, was it Calvin Ridley got nailed? So, it's a contradiction is what it is. What the NFL is saying, just don't do it on our own particular site, and of course they frown upon it, especially if you're betting on your own team. So I think what you really have is a contradiction of sorts, you know what I mean, about one thing or the other. But meanwhile, it doesn't stop NFL teams moving into gambling towns. They got Detroit actually, invested into 3 big hotels, let alone across in Windsor, and of course moving to Vegas, really, and Indian casinos are all over the place. So, and you have online gambling. So I think you can try to legislate it as much as you can. And you got to find out who's doing what they're not supposed to be doing. But, let's face it, the NFL, to me, is a $1 billion industry for a reason. And, depending on the nature of the gambling, they don't want you going ahead and betting on their platform is what they don't want to do. What you do with another sport, There's a chance they'll look away. But I remember the way they've enforced it, even with Alex Karras and Paul Hornung. Give me a break. I mean, it's just one of those kind of things where now we're talking about it, and the media is a lot more involved than it ever has been. So it's a double-edged sword, contradiction. Yet that's just how it's going to continue to run.
It is, and again, I totally agree, because just like what Jake said, you don't do it against your own team, because that puts you in a position to where you could purposely lose the game to where you win some money. That right there, I totally agree with. It's just the gambling aspect in general. If you're telling them no, you can't gamble, but then you make money off of gambling. Either way you slice it, that's hypocrisy. And sure, they could beat their chest and say, well, it's our house, our rules. You know what I mean? But it's the exact kind of thing why people have negative connotations about the NFL. But thanks to everybody who tuned into our program. That is our program for today. And shout out to Football Talk in the comments. Thanks a lot for your interaction, brother. Come on back soon. Interact with us. We got a lot of more, Balboa, a lot of more. So before we get over to the South Florida Tribune, where Scott has got the Sports Exchange, and then after that, come on back over to Sideline Sports for Confidential at 10 p.m. Eastern. Real quick, Jake, where can everybody find you?
Real quickly, I'm not going to go through my whole list. That might go to an hour. Don't want to do that. I will say this. On Monday of next week, I will be at the Austin Riley, the inaugural golf event. We'll be doing some interviews with some big people from the Atlanta area. Also, Kevin Butler will be there. Marquise Grissom will be there. A bunch of different Atlanta Braves. And I'll be at the red carpet event doing some interviews.
Sweet. And Scott, real quick.
Just please subscribe to South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. We're looking to grow that, hit the 1,000 mark. More importantly, we're doing well, and we're adding more and more shows. And people ask me at a chamber meeting, oh, I saw you were in Daytona Beach this weekend. Where are you guys headed next? So I'm not the most stationary target, as you guys know. So South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, please subscribe. Lots of great stuff in the pipeline.
He's all over the United States like Forrest Gump in the marathon scene in the movie Forrest Gump. So
I have a very bad disease called road sick. If I'm not on the road, I'm sick. So I need to get on the road. That way I'm not sick, except when we appear on these broadcasts.
That's why he always wears a trucker's hat every single week. So for Jacob Christner and Scotty here, I am Denzel Snipes. Now, South Florida Tribune on Facebook. Go check it out. It's a loaded show. Then come on back for Confidential. See you all in 7.